Yes, sir. Mod Tricker. Back up in this thing, man. Today, I'll be breaking down some creepy videos that'll probably leave you with more questions than answers. Let's get it.
Okay, I do not know what's going on right now. I heard a noise. I come outside. There's sirens blaring, and I see this huge trail in the sky. It's midnight right now. And there's this huge trail like something crash landed. What the heck is that? What is this? I wonder if there's anything on the news about this.
I'm genuinely curious about what this could be because I saw another person on TikTok from North Carolina that said they witnessed something very similar that night. And there was a person in Washington, D.C. that saw a massive police response. So this could be a modern day Roswell incident. And if that's the case, then you know the mainstream media won't report on it for at least another 30 to 40 years.
Apparently, Beyonce kidnapped and blackballed Sia. What the? In 2016, she puts out a random tweet. No correlation. It's one of those ones where it's like eggs, bacon. Oh, it's a code. It's code. It's code. Baby, everything your own nice cat eats. Period. Kangaroo is dead. Nowhere and purple penguins every day. My egg. What the? Take every single letter of the first word and it spells Beyonce me. No way. They circled the first. Oh my god! It really. What the? In one of the interviews when Beyonce was talking about Sia, look what she said.
Can we interview Sasha?
No, she's never done an interview. I don't know if she ever will, because I don't really think I'd like her interview.
No, I don't think I really would want her to be in an interview. Michael Jackson, I'll see ya.
I gotta do a little more research into the Sasha part because I know Beyonce claims it's just her alter ego, but besides that, that tweet seemed a little too cryptic to just be a coincidence. That's all I'm gonna say, because if it's true, I don't want to make myself the next target and end up in some random basement getting spoon-fed oatmeal by Jay-Z. I wish we had slightly better footage so we can at least tell what this is. This looks like it was filmed on a 1999 Kyocera flip phone.
Okay, so this is wild. You see this little stamp on this glyphosate-ridden oatmeal? Then this little stamp here on the Cheerios. It says American Heart Association. Well, something wasn't adding up to me. So I did a little research, and guess who funds the American Heart Association to the tune of millions and millions and millions of dollars? I think you know where this is going. Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, and the rest of Big Pharma. So the very companies that profit when you have heart problems are the same ones funding the association that tells you that this is heart healthy. Wow.
I'm sure Big Pharma only funds the American Heart Association because they only want us to eat foods that keep us perfectly healthy.
Something very strange right now is going on in Wyoming. This is a map of the forest fires in Wyoming right now. You notice they're all mostly on the eastern side. Well, here's a map of the state of Wyoming. And as you can see, the western side of it is yellow, which is mostly federal land. And the white is privately owned. In fact, almost 47% of Wyoming is federally owned land. Well, the fires are all on the private side. Not that there's no reason for that. It's just, fires happen. Maybe it was drier over there. But the only thing is that they just found 2.3 billion metric tons of rare earth minerals in none other than Wyoming, the southeastern corner of Wyoming, near Wheatland. For reference, Wheatland is right in this corner over here, right around there. And there's a big fire. Now, the people of Wyoming and this region of it that actually own the land are against the idea of a gigantic mine going there, changing the topography forever, and who knows what that could cause. But it's crazy. Some of the biggest forest fires ever recorded in the state's history, 74,000 acres. And of course, you do know that the state can confiscate or seize or take property, given that the private landowner is compensated during a emergency or disaster. And the Wyoming Rare Earth Project got $450 million, a loan or a grant from the federal government, to get some mining going. So what's with that?
I'm not saying these fires are necessarily intentional, but when the government finds out that there's precious natural resources somewhere, they're going to do whatever it takes to get their greasy paws on it.
Elon Musk just introduced Optimus, and we could be living in the movie iRobot. These new Optimus robots were just featured by Elon Musk, saying they'll cost anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 and will help do things around the house like wash dishes, walk your dog, or even watch your child. And these do look very similar to the cyborgs in iRobot, but that wasn't the only similarity. Elon also had a big rollout on autonomous vehicles like this RoboBus, which is basically a self-driving bus. And just like the cyborgs, this looks just like the buses in iRobot. Again, it doesn't stop there. When Elon rolled up to the event, he did it in this robo-taxi, which looks sleek and super cool, but it's literally the same car that Will Smith walks out of in iRobot. Now, Elon is known to troll people, so he could just be pulling inspiration from the movie, but it goes a step further. Elon is trying to make full cities with only autonomous vehicles, saying instead of cities being plagued with parking lots, they'll just be parks. And in theory, that does sound cool, but taking people's freedom to drive might be a harder sell. With that being said, Optimus and the autonomous vehicles were very impressive.
I refuse to ride in one of those robo-taxis because I saw that they don't even have a steering wheel, so if you get hacked or anything happens, there's no fail-safe. And they could have picked a much better design for that robo-bus because it looks like a giant pencil sharpener. It's possible that just this one cloud is moving a little bit faster than the rest. If not, then DARPA must have collabed with John Cena to create the You Can't See Me jet.
Mountain Dew, once again, does not miss. If you guys remember, I tweeted this a while back showing all the different flavors that correlated with different events. Code Red with 9/11, Maui Burst with Maui Fires, Baja Blast with Hurricane Hillary, Star Spangled Splash with the Francis Scott Key Bridge, and Pitch Black with the IT blackout. Now, I've asked people who dealt with hurricanes all the time who live in the area, and they said they've never seen a hurricane pick up speed as it heads towards land. Oh, but that's just tip of the iceberg. The question is, can they control the weather? I mean, I don't know for sure, but here's a US patent that was filed in 2001 and made public in 2003, so there's that. Now again, I'm not making any claims here, but here's another article by the New York Times posted back in 1972 saying rainmaking is used as a weapon by the US. I'm not saying it, that's the New York Times there. Now would you look at that? So Mountain Dew releases a new flavor called Infinite Swirl that just released this past summer. I mean, they gotta be doing it for entertainment purposes only, but a swirl is what a hurricane does, like Helene, and now you have Milton and even another one after Milton, which seems like an infinite amount of swirls. Now, what cities are in Florida? Well, you have Tampa that wants to become a 15-minute city through something called Tampa Moves, a citywide mobile plan that aims to reduce the average commute time to 15 minutes or less. The plan also seeks to have half of all commuters walk, bike, or take public transit. They even plan a downtown Tampa renovation, a $3 billion joint venture between the Tampa Bay Lightning owner, Jeff Finnick, and good old Billy Gates. And they already have 70 sensors with plans to put in more in high crime areas to show that they're leveraging technology to turn Tampa into a smart city. Just like Maui. They even have an entire website dedicated to it, says Smart Cities Alliance Tampa Bay.
I know this is just a wild theory. I'm just happy that Mountain Dew hasn't dropped a flavor called Apocalypse Boom. Hopefully this is just the green dye that plumbers use to trace leaks, because after the whole lead pipe debacle, the last thing the Flint citizens need is to be worried about antifreeze flowing through the water system.
If you buy your parcels from Shein, then you might want to start checking them a little more closely after a student in the UK found a venomous scorpion in one of her packages. I know, scary, right? Fortunately enough for her, she was able to get in contact with the National Centre for Reptile Welfare, who came over and took the scorpion away. However, what is worrying is that they said this is the second scorpion they have found in recent months, suggesting they are getting over here in different and various ways on shipments and things like that. So you must be careful when you're receiving packages from China and give them a thorough check before poking your hands in there and potentially getting stung nastily, which could end very badly for yourself. Shein have also been in touch with the lady and have said in a statement that after receiving feedback, we immediately conducted an internal investigation. Our teams on the ground have checked the shipment packing process and carried out an inspection of the goods in our warehouse and have confirmed that all standard operating processes have been adhered to. So hopefully you won't be finding any scorpions in your packages within the near future.
Unless they've been packing orders in the middle of the Gobi Desert, I feel like the only way a scorpion could end up in the package is if it was placed there intentionally by an employee.
This is an image of a kid flipping back and forth between an iPad and a phone with incredible dexterity. This is a family out to dinner and the kids are watching screens. Another kid without any phone in his hand, crying, attempting to swipe the phone that is not in his hand as if scratching at an itch, but not successfully. And a kid actually tapping a screen in their sleep. What's happening is very clear, which is that the human brain is an incredible organ because it's a map of our experience. It has certain parts that are hardwired that govern our heart rate and control of our heart rate, or control of our breathing, certain immune functions, and on. But then vast percentage of the human brain is open real estate. What you see during development, really between the ages of birth and about age 14 mainly, but certainly extending longer, creates a set of modules or maps within the brain that allow you to predict what's going to happen in the future. So if kids are growing up doing a lot of swiping behavior, there are entirely different maps of how language is encoded, how motor functions and language interact.
On one hand, kids today are growing up in a very technological time period, so I guess it's good that they are learning how to use these devices, but there has to be balance because Bluey himself could walk through the door and these iPad kids wouldn't even budge.
Oh my goodness.
Holy. Look at all coming.
That's his house. Nah, they might as well just sign over the deed.
Digital ID must be accepted by U.S. citizens by 2028 or risk exclusion from society. Are you going to be ready to stand up and...
Whoever bullied Bill Gates back in high school really created a monster. If they just let him keep his lunch money for at least one day, we probably wouldn't even have this problem.
That is ultimately, those are not the tools that actually generate foundational cellular health. 80% of medical schools in the United States don't require a single nutrition course. Not 1 minute of nutrition. And yet 90% of our healthcare costs are tied to diseases. The things that are torturing American lives are tied to food. And doctors, it's not a hammer in our toolbox. I didn't learn at Stanford Medical School that 95% of the people on the USDA Food Guidelines for America committee had a conflict of interest with the food industry. I didn't learn that there were 8,000 conflicts of interest at the NIH. I didn't learn that there are 8 billion tons of plastic on planet Earth that are degrading into estrogen, analogs. I did not learn that there's 6 billion pounds of pesticides sprayed on our global food supply every single year. I didn't learn that, simply taking 7,000 steps per day can slash your risk of obesity, type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's, dementia, even gastric reflux by 40 to 60%. And the average American's walking 3,500 steps per day. Like, we're literally just not moving as a country. And if you just walk a little bit, 7,000 steps, which takes like 45 minutes, you slash your risk of every major chronic disease. I didn't learn that we need to be getting sunlight because circadian biology dictates our cellular health. Like, we are diurnal animals that have biologic processes that happen during the day and other biologic processes that happen at night. And the way your body knows whether it's day or night is if you get photons hitting your retina and your skin cells. Pretty basic, pretty foundational for human health. Didn't learn anything about it. Didn't learn anything about sunlight. Didn't learn anything about photons. Didn't learn anything about sleep.
And the fact that medical schools don't require nutrition classes explains a lot about our healthcare system. That would be like firefighters going to the fire academy and not learning how to use a water hose.
Okay, this the news lady. Look at her eyes. I feel like her eyes open. I don't know. Watch. Dude, did y'all just see that?
Watch the blink. Now just take the next picture. That's her. Not her eyes blinked.
Dude.
Her eye blinked, and that's how.
Do y'all think blinked. Her eyes blink, or just another set of eyes?
They gotta pause it. When she blink, you gotta pause it and see it.
I'm finna see it again.
You can do it on your phone.
I'm recording it. Dude, what is that?
I know this is most likely just a camera glitch, but for a second it looked like she almost shapeshifted into a ball python. They cut the scene quick too.
A U.S. couple was left with life-changing disabilities and injuries after an Uber crash, but can't sue Uber after agreeing to terms and conditions while ordering a pizza. This gets even worse because their 12-year-old daughter ordered a pizza on Uber Eats and agreed to the arbitration agreement. This couple, who is horrifically injured and probably going to be handicapped for life, cannot sue Uber in a case that is extremely similar to how Disney Plus was using their Disney Plus subscriber agreement to force a wrongful lawsuit into arbitration, or say that you can't sue the company at all because the victim in this case, who eating food that they were allergic to, even after informing the staff that they were allergic and requesting a special non-allergy meal, they were just given the wrong thing. They straight up in Disneyland croaked, like just toasted right there. And Disney argued that because the husband had done a free trial on Disney Plus 3 years ago and canceled it, that they were still bound by the arbitration agreement. That's basically what's going on here with Uber and Uber Eats, and I'm going to try to do my best to explain this story. It says John and McGinty from New Jersey in the U.S. were riding in an Uber vehicle when it crashed in March 2022. Ms. McGinty was left in critical care unit for a week with a spine fracture, had one of those, no fun, traumatic injuries to her abdominal wall. And when they attempted to sue the company, the state judge ruled that they had clicked the confirm button on more than one occasion when asked if they agreed to Uber's terms and services, which are arbitration agreements and waivers of liabilities. Speaking to the BBC, this couple said the most recent time the terms had been agreed to was when their 12-year-old daughter had ordered a pizza on Uber Eats, which had nothing to do with them getting into the car. And they were unable to bring their case to a jury trial under the 7th Amendment of the Constitution, as they had forfeited their rights by clicking confirm on the app.
I understand that terms and conditions are considered a contractual agreement, but there has to be some sort of limit, because that would be like your bank losing all of your money, but because you downloaded the banking app, they're not actually entitled to give it back. I actually got to go back and read the terms and conditions on the banking app.
I have 2 words to say to you, viewers. Immaculate constellation.
A brand new bombshell whistleblower report alleges the existence of a secret Pentagon UAP and UFO program, and it's called Immaculate Constellation. The report, turned over to Congress, claims the government has high-resolution pictures of UAPs.
Explosive new report. The Pentagon is illegally hiding a secret UFO collection program. Investigative journalist Jeremy Corbell says this confirms everything he's been saying for years, and it's only the tip of the iceberg.
Pentagon is illegally hiding secret UFO programs from Congress, sources allege.
The report is quite extraordinary. It says that there is an unacknowledged special access program called Immaculate Constellation, which is the parent program, is the language used for exactly what you said, UAP, crash retrieval, reverse engineering, and apparently a very large database of high quality photographs, videos, infrared videos, apparently much more sophisticated documentation of many more UAP encounters than have been released.
Knowing how the Pentagon operates, I don't doubt this is true at all, but until they tell us everything that's going on with this unacknowledged program, we should be able to unacknowledge the taxes they're using to fund it.
The thing that's really suspicious with Brittany Murphy's is she had the same coroner as Kim Porter. His name was Ed Winters, and he also did Paul Walker's, Whitney Houston's, Tom Petty's, and Michael Jackson's autopsies. He ended up before Kim Porter's second autopsy.
The coroner did?
The coroner between Kim Porter's first and second autopsies.
Super weird.
Yeah, it's super, super weird.
I know they all lived in Los Angeles County, so technically there is a chance that they would just happen to have the same coroner, but hypothetically speaking, if there was any foul play, you would want to send them to the guy that you could trust to cover it up.
Who Grimes is?
Oh, yeah, Elon Musk's ex-wife, and they have a bunch of kids named like XEIOU2.
Okay, so Grimes is an artist, she's a singer, and in 2015 she had an album called Art Angels. Supposedly, that album was responsible for a bunch of her fans shaving their heads after listening to it, with no explanation. There's no lyrics in the song that are like, shave your head. But for some reason, people would listen to this album and get the urge to shave their head.
What?
But in a Reddit thread from this year, a bunch of screenshots were put together from different fans of Grimes saying like, yeah, after I listened to the album, I shaved my head. This person said, in 2015, I was listening to Art Angels, and I felt a sudden urge to completely shave my head. I've never felt that urge in my whole life.
I know music in general can be a powerful influence, but that's a little too powerful. I'm surprised we never seen Elon pop up with a buzz cut.
Can y'all tell me who in the built an 800-mile underground tunnel system in Dayton, Ohio? 800 miles. See? 800 miles. And y'all, it's got some crazy and scary and just sinister, weird, like, history attached to these tunnels. Like, they say they're haunted as Here is like one of the tunnel entrances from like back in the day, and it was attached to the hospital morgue, and they transported bodies in it. Yeah. And then these tunnels lead back to Philip Gall, y'all. He's the guy that I did the video about the other day that was supposed to be in the Netflix documentary about the vampires. Yeah, that guy. Well, it is believed that a police officer that went undercover during all this in this asylum nightclub as an undercover person, and there was like horrific things that happened supposedly to this guy. I'm not even gonna say him because they're so fucking bad, but there. And they think that his body was placed in these tunnels too because they were attached to this asylum nightclub. And I guess to this day, a lot of homeless people are in these tunnels still, and they say that they are scary. And the word on the street is also ghosts, from what I've been told. So yeah, not going near those tunnels.
The 800-mile tunnel system seems pretty elaborate. I wouldn't go down there if you paid me.
The only thing scarier than a clown is a 110-year-old preserved clown corpse. Achille Chatoulet, whose name translates to the French tickler, was an early 1900s circus performer. He wished for his body to be on display after his death in full clown makeup and full clown costume. When he passed away in 1912, his wish came true. His family had him hermetically sealed in clown makeup and dressed him in his Shriner's Parade outfit. He has been on display for 2 decades at the California Institute of Abnormal Arts. But with their recent closing in July of 2022, who knows where this perfectly preserved clown will go next.
I gotta give the French tickler his props. He was fully committed to the bit. I wouldn't be able to get a wink of sleep if I spotted this in my house. I'd rather sleep on the back porch.
One of the most important things in Britain at the moment, the cash machine of freedom. If we remove cash, we go in the direction of a digital system. I know it's convenient. It is convenient to be able to have a card that holds all of your digital finance, but look, at the end of the day, choice is what we're actually campaigning for. We need to boycott any store that is cashless. We have surveillance in every single part of London, ULEZ, congestion charge. We have a digital infrastructure taking over our country. Young people, you have a direct responsibility to use cash. I know we grew up in a completely digital environment, but the freedom that you currently have is going to dissipate in the next 10 years. It is actually one of the greatest attacks on humanity we have ever seen. If we are reliant on a digital system, we are reliant on the government. They have complete control over our finances and where we go. Electric cars, electric currency, it's going to completely take over our lives. Cash is a symbol of freedom, and if we can preserve cash, we can preserve our future.
I've seen a lot of comments on some of the previous videos of people who say that cash is just as bad as digital currency, but I disagree. I would much rather take my chances with cash because at least it's not attached to my identity and nobody can decide if I can spend it or not.
The evidence for ancient technology is not going to be found near these temples. It's going to be the temple. This is Angkor Wat, and this is a CMOS sensor. Any digital camera will have one of these. That's Angkor Wat from above. What does the CMOS sensor do? It takes in light and converts that light to electrical signal. Why would ancients want to do that? To make that signal usable, we use something called a high-frequency oscillator. These create stable frequencies with no moving parts. They're used in everything. Should be no surprise at this point, the geometry of that oscillator is 4 resonators around one central resonator. Tesla uses these, which could be confused with ancient Peruvian architecture if you follow me. All resonators work by using cavities to excite and amplify a desired frequency in the center. Let's say we cut Anchor like that in half. I feel like it'd probably look a lot like that guy. Picked a great day to watch Base Forge. I'm full sending this one. You see that forested area conspicuously covered with trees? They scanned it with a laser on a drone to see what's underneath the trees. You know what they found?
What the hell was even that?
The acoustic waveguide for our oscillator happens to look just like that. If you watch the Prambanan video, you know that the interior of these temples looks just like a corrugated horn antenna. Those peaks are not decorative, they focus the signal as it exits the cone. This minimizes power loss and strengthens the signal. A phased array arrangement focuses the signal into the main horn. That is what the signal looks like, and that may be your design inspiration for a tower. Which makes sense.
If his synopsis is correct, then the ancients deserve a lot more credit than we give them, because it looks like they gave us the schematics for a digital camera back in the 12th century. I love the Halloween spirit, but this pumpkin is bigger than every house in that neighborhood. I'm sure the zoning commission would have a fit if they saw this. But that was the video, guys. Don't forget to sub up, hit that notification bell, and I'll catch you in the next one.